Hello folks, I'm Ed Overstreet and welcome to the Night Sky Imaging YouTube channel, and let's head over to, not me, let's head over to my screen share and I will show you what's going on in my neck of the woods today. Okie dokie. If you're new to the Night Sky Imaging YouTube channel, it's a pretty new channel. In a couple of months, I will have been doing this for a year, and it's a learning process. I am outside. My kids are outside. I'm inside, and we're taking a trip around the sun, and I'm going to do a time lapse. Not real sure what part of the sun I'm going to lapse, but or time lapse, but we're going to figure it out now. Let me see if I can't work some better focus. And one of my focusers, before we get started, let me kind of give you an overview of the software I'm using. This is SharpCap, and I also use Fire Capture, but I prefer SharpCap. I started out with it. I'm just more familiar with it. They both have a lot of good bells and whistles. And the very first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my external hard drive is being used. By the way, let me move back to my me, and I want to show you this hard drive. It fits in the palm of my hand. I have them for each of my outside kits, and what I really like about them is that they weigh nothing, and I Velcro them on the back of the laptop, and so it helps. It helps the saving of images, because my hard drives on those little laptops just aren't large enough to hold large video files if you're taking a time lapse. So these are 1 terabyte drives. They cost about $100. They're a little pricey, but they're worth their weight in gold if you're doing time lapses. So with that being said, let's go back outside and let me share my screen again. And we are now back out. And so what I want to do is make sure that I have set up, well, I haven't, so I need to make sure this drive has been activated. So I want to go down. It's called the planetary drive, and we're going to create a new folder for today, and it's going to be April 27th, 22 solar. And so that's where these files will be saved. You make sure you always click apply. If you don't, then, and just click OK, you're going to go right back to your C drive. So click apply, then OK. You can also, on this screen, go to hardware and connect any of your peripherals. I use a Moonlight focuser, electronic focuser, and here are the focuser controls right over to the right, so that I can focus in, out. I can change the step size. Right now the position is 6,063 steps from being all the way racked in. I also, there's no need to have a filter wheel. I have one filter. It's an IR UV cut filter that fits on the chromosphere, Quark chromosphere, and that's what I'm using today. And this is an AVX by Celestron, and so I use the driver and just find the right port, and it connects. So I also get a ASCOM hand controller, and then I have this hand controller. So sometimes I'll set this to 4 times sidereal, and sometimes I'll set this to 16 times sidereal if I really want to move to different parts of the sun quickly, or if I really want to control my movements for the slight movements I plan to have during, say, a time lapse. So let's do this. The sun is crazy. In fact, let's move over to Let's go outside and let's go outside to, okay, right now we have the solar scopes in LTAD and in Cerro Tolodo and Big Bear, and they're running about 4 minutes behind real time. So that'll give us a view of what's going on with the sun. And so right now we're right over here. This is where I'm positioned. And so we're going to take a trip around the sun. We're going to be looking at these proms. And then I'm going to start a time lapse. And I plan to do the time lapse. I'm looking for 300 AVI files that are 1,000 frames each. And I'm going to do those till the sun transits, which is about 1:30 in that neighborhood. So let's go back outside and let's take a trip around the sun to decide what we're going to image. And to do that, we need two. Okay, we're still not focused, which is fine. We're going to work on that right now. I'm going out. Nope, that's the wrong way. Let's go in. Also, I've lost some of my good seeing conditions. Last night was really spectacular, but humidity has returned to Spartanburg, and I can't tell whether I'm SharpCap. This is about as good as it's going to be right now. SharpCap has some focusing algorithms that I really haven't found them to work any better than my own visual uh, decisions that I make. But you can go up here and bring down edge contrast. And what you want to do is move this box to the edge. I'll make it a little bigger. And I may encompass something like this. And then you set your black threshold. Let's go down to about, well, right there, because I want to go up a little bit, make my, and fill that space in. And then I'm going to go over here and kind of look at what my values are. The best so far is 2.9. Right now we're at 2.2. The higher the better. And then you just start racking in your focuser and see if you can get a better, see if it's going to go up or down. And you really have to have almost precise seeing in order to do this, because with poor seeing, it looks as though you're going in and out of focus, and it just makes these focusing algorithms tough. So I pretty much have given up trying to use them. I think it'd work much better at night in good seeing, or in the daytime if you had terrific seeing, but we don't have terrific seeing, so that's what it is. Anyway, we're going to get rid of this. I'll just X out. We'll fill up our screen. And let's just take a trip around. Before we do that, though, well, let's tell you what. We'll go around the sun, just looking at the activity that's going on the surface, and then we'll go around the sun, looking at the activity that's happening on the rim of the sun, which you can't see right now because we need to overexpose the frame in order to do that. So let's head north. There's a nice filament right there, and I know there will be some activity on that filament over a 3-hour period. Oh, wrong way. Okay. I think this is where I'm going to be, right here, and I'll show you why in a minute. I had planned to start earlier, but I let the battery run down on my power supply for the quark chromospheres, and actually I have two of them out there right now. I have two scopes set up, the writing tandem, and one's on top of the other. I'll show you. One is a 224 camera on it. One has the 174, and we're looking at the 174 camera. Okay, I don't think this is the area that I'm planning on. Not this one. This I imaged this the last several days, and unless there's something going on the surface here, I'm going to go back where I know there's some good solar flare activity where plasma is shooting off the sun surface. So I'm going to overexpose the quark for a minute here. Let's see if I can't get a better focus. It's not going to be a good day to do this. The scene's just not working out for me. I do it anyway because I enjoy it. All right, I'm going to take the gain up to 180, and I'm going to take exposure up to about 20 milliseconds. Right there. And I may rack this up, just the gain up just a little more. Now let's go back. Stick it down at 80, 180. Okay, now we're going to move around the sun and see if we have a flare here, and let's add a little more. So we have a flare going on there. Now, one of the cool things about using the quark chromosphere by Daystar, you can do both the surface and the rim and expose for both at the same time. I want to take a look. I want to go back down to 11 milliseconds and say 90, and I'm going to see if there's anything here to look at, and there's not. I wish there was a lot of surface activity because I'd like to get this prom and some stuff on the surface in this field of view, but unfortunately it would be not very remarkable. So I doubt I'll be at this part of the sky. So let's go back up to 180, and let's go back up to, let's say, 25. And now down here there should be some. There you go. This is where we're going to be. And we got this cool stuff going on the rim, and over the course of 3 hours there should be some nice swirling action as this plasma that's shooting up 2 and 3 times the size of Earth's diameter, it's shooting up, and then the gravity of the sun's pulling it back. You really see the gravity pulling stuff back up here on this. Let's go up here. Let's go back. Come on, move. I noticed some pretty cool arcing up here. Yeah, it's starting to arc here, and it just can't hang there forever. And so let's go back down. Sure wish I could image that today and not this, because that is has more features I like to see in activity. Now let's go back down to 11 milliseconds, and let's go back down to say 90. And so this sunspot and this filament in this sunspot are going to be the area that the region. I'm going to have to move this down some, and I sure don't want to do that. Whoop, wrong way. Because I'm going to lose that other. Come on. I'm going to find my crosshairs, and I'm going to center this sunspot right here. I'm going to move it over a bit east, and we're going to go south just ahead, move it up. Look at the sun move, bounce around. It's not bouncing, it's the atmosphere that's causing the problems, and we need to come over a little bit. When I do a time lapse, one of the requirements for my setup is that I stay with the telescope for almost all of the time lapse, and I nudge the sun back into these crosshairs, and I need a reference point, and that sunspot will be here for several days as it transits the sun. So I'll keep moving the sun into the center, and I'll do that during the intervals between the time lapses. So I'll set up a time lapse by going to start capture, and I'll call this solar time lapse, and I'm going to have, my goal is to have 300 images. I'm going to have a pause of 20 seconds between images. That gives me ample time to recenter. And each of the video files that we're taking AVI files, and each of these AVI files will be 1,000 frames. And then when I move these frames into Auto Stacker to stack each video file into a TIFF file, when I do that, I only keep 15 to 20%, and it doesn't really matter how good the quality is. The quality graph may show me that 50, 60, or 70% of my frames are better than 50% of the rest. That doesn't matter. I want to keep the top 15 or 20%. I'd rather take more frames and keep just the best than to take fewer frames and say keep 50% of them. And I just found that it just works out better. I have more clarity, sharpness, and it just looks better in doing a time lapse. So look at this. Now, I haven't checked outside to see how what the wind's doing, but that almost looked like an animal bumped it, or the sun. I mean, the wind doesn't even move it that much. But at any rate, we're not going to start it yet. I'm going to start it in a few minutes. I'll start it around 10:30. I need to recenter again, and in order to do that, I'm going to move east, and I'm going to move north, and hang on just a second. Let me move over here and down here and then back over, back outside. Okay, I've got the comment section up if anybody has any questions. And let me get back over there again. And Okay. Daggone it. I'm moving windows around and it's creating havoc. It's my streaming software. Gotta blame something. All right, I want to try to focus again, and I'm gonna move. Gotta go west a tad, and we gotta go a little more. And now we gotta go south. It's like moving a battleship. It reminds me of never driven one, but it's hard to get started, and when you get it started, you can't hardly stop them. Okay, but I mentioned that I have an AVX mount. It is not polar aligned. It's close, but close isn't good enough if you're trying to keep drift from happening in deck. So I have a lot of declination drift, but I have RA drift as well. So it requires that you babysit the mount while you're doing a time lapse. So I don't think I'm going to get focus any better. I want to make one final check to make sure that my I'm going to run my gain up again real high. Yeah, there's my surface area on the rim area that I want to get. And also, one of the things I want to do before I sign off today is I want to take another set of flat frames. These areas right here that you see in this particular area right here, this isn't something on the surface. This dark thing is on the sensor. These smudges aren't on the sensor. They're on the quirk or they're on the IR UV cut filter. But when you see something as exact and as defined as these marks right here, that means you need a sensor cleaning. The rest of it is on further away from the sensor. Here's a smudge. Here's a smudge. We call them dust bunnies. But it's so much easier to leave your glass alone and minimize the risk of damaging your glass or your sensor and just taking flat frames. And when you take your flats, then you can remove this mess. In fact, let's go ahead and take our flats. We'll get it out of the way. I'm going to move over here and just fill the whole frame with the sun. Then I'm going to defocus. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to defocus that. Whoop, I went too far. I don't want that in here. I want to go back a little bit. Okay, now I want to defocus. I'll go out 1,000 frames. That's good enough. I want to call this flat. And I want to move the sun down a little bit. Oh, wrong way, because I've got a vignette here in the bottom left corner. I just don't want it. I want the whole sun filling up the frame if I can. Makes it easier. And let's go with that. And then I'm going to do a quick capture and I'm going to knock off 500 frames. And we're taking at 90 frames per second. I have one flat, and you see the dust, sensor issues, dust. When you're outside, you just can't keep you can't keep dust off. It isn't going to happen. Let's take another one while we're out here, and we'll go to quick capture, 500. And to be on the safe side, we'll take another. And so we have 3 flat frames we know for sure. It's done. Let's focus back in. It's a shame we don't have some prom activity over here on this side where you have all this activity, because there's a lot of swirling going on right here. I have a time lapse that I did this week of this area, and it's pretty cool. If I have time, I'll head over there and bring up that computer and show you that time lapse. Okay, let's go back to where we're going to start the wrong way again. What gets confusing, if you decide to image past the transit, then your RA, your deck stays the same, but your RA, you get used to going left or right, and then you reverse it when you transit. Let's see, we want to go down, so that means we got to hit the down arrow to bring the sunspot up, because that's our reference. We know if we have the sunspot centered there, and we're going to go over, we need to go this way. Too far. Close enough. And it doesn't have to be exact. And I mention this in every video that I do where I'm time-lapsing. The more exact it is, the better the less cropping will go on, will be taking place when you align all of these TIFF files. You're going to take a mess of AVI files, you're going to process them in AutoStacker, then you're going to move them into some kind of an alignment software. And I use IMPPG. And when I align these in, by the way, you should sharpen them before you align them so that you have more features defined that helps the aligning process. But then I sharpen, then I align them. And if you have kept this on center, then you're not going to have a lot of cropping going on, and you don't want to crop out features. And since I know there's a little bit of plasma activity on the rim, some flaring going on, I would really like to save as much of this area as possible, which means I'm going to have to sit here and really be precise about centering this. I gave myself an extra 5 seconds. Normally I just keep 15 seconds between each AVI file, but because I'm really interested in maintaining and protecting this field of view right here, I'm going to up that. I'm going to up that to 20 seconds when I do the time lapse. So I need to now move back west, and got to go north, and then we're going to go up and start the time lapse. And I'll let you, well, I'll stay online for a little bit while we're doing this time lapse, but then I'll sign off. No one just wants to watch one picture come in after another. We're going to go up to capture, start capture, and we have 1,000 frames. For each video file, we want 300. We're going to up this to 20 seconds between videos. We're going. On occasion, I will stop, and I'm already going to stop it. Stop capture, cancel. I don't want to call these flats. I want to call this solar time lapse. And let's go recenter. See a bird flying by. And we want to go up a little. All right, we're going to capture, start capture. Here we go. We're at 90 frames per second. I could raise the gain and lower the exposure time and go up to 115 or 20 frames per second. I doubt I will. All right, I'm going to move them out a little bit. I got 14 seconds to do that. And we're capturing again. If I see I'm running out of time, and if for some reason when you hit one of these direction errors it flies off the page, and it does that occasionally, I'll just come up here real quick and cancel, and then I make note of how many I have left. I have 298 left in the time lapse. That's my goal. And okay, we're ready for the next one. Okay, we're going to need to move north a little bit. And east. I'm thinking I'm going to do a video, not live because it takes a while to do that, but I'm going to do a video of processing time lapse from auto stackered through PixInsight back to IMPPG. And okay, we need to move west. And that's good enough. And in fact, this would be a good one to do a tutorial on how to take the 300 frames through AutoStacker, then IMPPG, then PixInsight for blinking, then back to IMPPG for aligning, then make a colorize it back in PixInsight, take it back into PIP, and make a GIF video. I think I got that right. Need to move it down a little bit, get a little drift, and a little west. And again, these crosshairs are saving me because it does keep me centered, and it minimizes the need for stacking software, aligning software to crop. It does look like the scene has gotten slightly better, and so what I'm going to do is stop this. I'm going to cancel. I have 293 left. I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to see if I can't, while this thing settles, see if I can't fix focus some. That's the wrong way. That's better. Okay, much better. I think it's going to be too far. It is. Let's come back. There's kind of one way to cheat. You can go down here to this histogram and grab it. You'll see there, and grab this and pull it over. And raise your exposure up, and it gives you more contrast to focus from. But honestly, I just assume avoid that step when I can. I forgot how many I had left. So let's go look. Let's go down to planetary, the today, and solar. We've done 7 items, so we have 293 left to go. Let's recenter. Got dark. I'm going to get rid of comments because that's what's causing the problem. And I'm going to come back to alright, let's raise the gain a little bit. You're paying attention to this corner that's getting a little hot. Now I'll bring it back about there. You can follow your histogram, but I really pay more attention to what's happening visually. Okay, let's move up a tad. And let's move over a little bit. Let's go to camera, start capture. We're at 293 now, and everything else is fine. And well, it drifted down, so we'll fix it. Scroll up. Too far. Sometimes it really overshoots. And let's go. All right, 3, 2, 1, and we're now capturing again. I'm hoping that this is going to be really active. And right here, there's a lot of different areas in this region that could start some new activity during this process. I think this right here is just new. I didn't really get a good mental picture of it before I started, but okay, I talked my way and forgot to babysit. So this frame is going to cause a crop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up, recenter it really quickly. Go over. Then I'm going to 290. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to delete this one. I don't want it. And I'm going to start to capture again. This time at 290. And I'll pay more attention between AVI files. I'm not a real good multitasker. I think we're probably okay. I don't know if we need to move it yet. Maybe a little bit west. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, capture. So far, so good. Maybe go up just a nudge. $288 to go, and I venture to say it's going to take me all the way up to 130. So I will put it on pause from time to time, go get something to drink, do some fluid management, and come back. And yes, it's a longer interval between the video files, but the movement on the sun, I've never really noticed it being causing any kind of an effect. Okay, we're ready to capture again. And there she blows. This is awful hot area right here. I'm keeping an eye on it. The scene is a little better, so I may just keep 10% of these frames. Yep. Better get there quick, or there we go. So we're getting ready to capture. Just a minute, folks. I'm recentering the sunspot in those crosshairs. You're wondering why I'm clicking away. And I'm doing this, trying to do this between captures. There's a 20-second pause between each capture, and during that time I recenter. We got 14 seconds left. in this interval. Right now it's just previewing at 90 frames per second. 4, 2, 1, it's about ready to capture. And it is 500 frames. 1,000. We need to move up. And east. Now down a little bit. That works. I'll take you outside while this is doing this, and let me log on again. This is the telescope, right? Oh, look at the wind. Crazy. This is the telescope that I'm using right now, and this is a refractor on top that's called the Solar Scout. It has a quark chromosphere device built in. And go away, bird. It has and this is an Astrotech 65 EDQ refractor with the quark chromosphere and an ASI 174 Pro camera. It's a cool camera. Of course, you don't need to cool the camera for the sun, because you're not fighting the noise of long exposures. But I used these two cameras, or two telescope kits last night to image M102 and M104. We had a good night all night. Seems good. So the clouds are staying away right now. Everything's looking pretty cool. I wonder how much drift I've had during this pause. Not so bad. So let's we're capturing. We're about done. Let's move over. Probably should go delete that one. When I'm finished stacking in AutoStackered, then I'm going to open PixInsight and go to processes and activate a process called blink, and I'll load all the images, which allows you to blink through them very quickly like it's a movie, and so as many frames per second as you want, and you can see the ones that are really out of alignment, and you can go ahead and eliminate them during the blink process. Then I usually let's go with north here, pause, too far, let's cancel, 277, let's come back down. Go back to quick capture, start capture. We're at 277. Oop. 277 frames left in my 300 frame goal. Folks, I'm going to sign off. There's nothing remarkable going on now, and but I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and then when I'm finished with this, I'm going to do a tutorial on how I set up AutoStackered to do a batch stacking of all these 300 frames, if I get to 300, and we'll also take it all the way to the finish gift and hope it turns out okay. It may or it may not. About 1 in 3 do. 2 out of 3 show us very little. Oh, there was one other thing. Let me see if the workstation's open. Yep. Let me go to I know these are out of date. I don't use these laptops for anything other than it's frozen up. Hang on. I'm gonna go back out and just stop this. Oh, actually, it's done pretty good. Let me recenter. We're gonna 274. I'll come back, but I was gonna show you this GIF that I did. Let's go down to, we want to go to 422. Is it 422? Okay, yeah, this is the one we want to go to, and I think this is the one we want to go to. Nope. Where's my GIF file that it just did? I don't want that. Nope, that was one I did, but that's, well, I thought it would be easy to go back here again. Well, sure, it was here. Here we go. Well, all right, this is the gift. So this was that sunspot that, this is the time lapse. This is 300 pictures that were stacked, but you can see a little activity down here and some going on here, and on the surface you can see a little movement. It's not that remarkable, but it was fun to do anyway. You can see some movement. I don't know how this looks on YouTube. There's some up here too, but there's some swirling going on the surface as the plasma heats and moves around. It's pretty cool stuff. Okay, I might head back outside. I'll activate that that laptop, and let's move north and west. And forgot how many I got left. I think it's 270. We'll count them up. Let's see how many I got. 25, so I have 275 to go. So let's go to capture, start capture. 275. Let's kick it off. So I'm down to 20. I've done 25. I've got 275 left to go, and it's almost 11 o'clock. I got 2.5 hours to do it. I'll have no problem. Unless the clouds come, I should get what I'm looking for. So folks, I'm going to say good afternoon to everybody, or good morning to everybody. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. And with that being said, I'll check back and I'll show you the processes I use to put a GIF together, time lapse together.